Welcome. It's another show. I'll let the music finish. Thanks for coming back. We've got a great show today. We're going back to basics. Um, Frankly, every agency tells you they're the best. They have the best education, they have the best teaching, they have the best websites, they have the best lead generation. That's true. And it's not. It's not best unless your mindset is strong and you have the skills, like the art of war. If you have the skills that make you great. We've got a guest today, Keith Krikorian. He's already writing the book. He's a team leader. He's a consultant. He has his own successful team. Welcome to the show, Keith.
Thank you for having me, Larry. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's great to get back to these basics. I know you coach. I think I'm going to be on a panel of yours. When is that? June 9th? You have a
June
program?
6th.
June 6th, you have a program. Well, let's start off with that. You're moderating in that instance, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Can you tell me a little bit about that event?
Sure. I like to do these pretty regularly, call them once a quarter. I like to get people from every office out there together and put some top agents that I really respect up there, up on that panel, and I like to moderate it. I was happy to ask you if you would be able to sit on that panel as well. I think it's about thriving in the shifting market,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
A lot of people are looking to just survive, and you got to be thriving at a time like this. You really have to, like you said, I mean, you hit it right
right,
on the head. Get back to basics and really do
right.
the things that you know are going to get you through the shift and actually be wildly successful through a shift.
Right. And before we started today, we were talking about what do you do to get yourself ready to be psyched to either make the calls or have that uncomfortable call that every agent has to have every once in a while. The inspection report came bad. Oh, they didn't offer as much. All of these kind of stuff. What do you do? And we talked about jumping in place like Tony Robbins in a trampoline, or listening to music, or having some mantra that makes it work. The point is, it all works if it works for you. You got to find it. Same with the teaching, same with the coaching. Talk about the different styles to be successful.
I think it's interesting, like you said. I mean, I hadn't even thought about what I do, maybe to gear myself up or get myself ready until you brought it up. So that was a very thought-provoking thing. But I find it funny that you can go to the conferences, you can go to the classes, you can read the books, and you get a lot out of it. And then you go to just one time, and you hear relatively the same thing, but it just hits you. And at that moment, it hits you, and all of a sudden you say, I'm not just hearing it, I'm going to implement it into my business. And that's why I think the reading, the conferences, the classes, you never stop learning, because
Yeah.
some of those things you've heard for years, and that one time clicks,
Yeah.
and then there you are.
Yeah. Or you're at the right place at the right time. It's like being a kid and your parents tell you be careful about this or be careful about that. You don't think of it until you're a little bit old and you say, "Oh yeah, I should have been a little more careful," or you make the mistake.
Yeah, absolutely.
I used to say
Absolutely.
that to my son, who's now much older. Go out, have fun, be careful, don't do anything stupid. He was about 17 and he pulled back in. He was going into town using my car, staying in Boston. He goes, gets in the car, drives out. I've got a kind of long driveway. He drives back in, comes back into where I'm sitting and says, Dad, sometimes you don't know it's stupid till you do it. And I said, thank you for listening. Good
There
luck.
you go. That's it. If we knew now, if
Yeah.
we knew then what we know now, right?
Yeah. Well, there's always that uh-oh voice that goes on. But let's
Mhm.
get back to mindset, because that uh-oh voice can turn you off from making that next call, from knocking on that next door, from making that best next effort to build your business. How do you deal with the mindset aspect of the teaching, the consulting? I mean, you're teaching people, you're also talking to people. So, how do you do that mindset?
With Yeah, with that mindset, I look at it as, I guess one of the things that clicked in my brain a long time ago is, if you're saying yes to one thing, you're saying no to a bunch of other things, right? If you're saying no to one thing, you're saying yes to. So it just gets down to, and you know how it goes, right? With timing, this we have a lot on our plate all day, every day. And how do you keep your mindset going? If you want what you're going after enough, you're just going to make it happen.
Yeah.
You cut out a lot of the minutia, all that lower bottom 80% stuff, and you just focus on what matters. Keep yourself going in the right direction. A lot of people look to coaches. They look to, like you said at the very beginning of this, they look to a lot of different channels or avenues to get it done. Figure out what it is, and then just go and
Yeah.
just get it done. Feels
Yeah.
so much more rewarding when your day is productive versus just checking off a list.
Yeah, yeah. I had been a Keller Williams agent and read The One Thing. It's fantastic if you think about the one thing. What's the most important to you?
Yeah.
Um, I am of a mindset that at any particular moment, there's seven things that are important to me. So it becomes a priority. What do I need right now? I have to ask myself that second question. Should I do this first or should I do this first? How do you organize that? Is that an individual thing or can you just follow a formula?
You can definitely follow a formula. I think you go from having a to-do list to having a success list,
Okay.
right? We all have 30 things on a piece of paper we can check off. And all we're really good at is checking things off until you look at what are the, whatever it might be, what's the one, two, three things that I might be able to knock out today. And if I do that, I move the needle for my week, move the needle for my month, move the needle for the year. And like you said, how do you keep in that mindset? Well, you look at it and say, if I do these things, I can predict my outcome.
Right.
If I don't do those things and I say yes to something else, I said no to what I told myself really mattered.
Yeah, yeah. I have a couple of thoughts on that. One of the things is I put on my list every day is procrastination, and I'm happy not to cross it off every day. It makes me smile. Oh, I was going to procrastinate, but not right now. Let me get this other thing done. But you know, the one thing I didn't understand it at the beginning. I thought, okay, the one thing is making money. The one thing is security for my family. The one thing is I want to retire to something. Um, and I struggled with it for a long time and began to realize it comes down to moment. It's back to basics. When you come up in your day and you're sitting at that desk, should I make those phone calls or should I follow up with a transactional detail? The thing is, what's the better for you in the long run? If you have a transactional detail to good, good for you. Gets the next one is what my brain tells me. Am I thinking right on that?
Absolutely. And you know what I say to a lot of agents? A lot of the people, they're struggling with the same things.
Yeah,
No matter what business you're in,
we
you
all
have a
do.
couple of things. And I'll have some people come to me and they say, well, what are the three things you want to knock out in the next, call it 3 months? That
Yeah,
if you really hyper focus for three
yeah,
months, actually that book on the 12-week year, great start. That's a great way to keep that going. But anyway, what do I always hear? I don't have enough business. I need to lose blank pounds, right? And I start right off the bat and I say, how's this? What does your morning look like? You don't have to miracle morning it. You don't have to. If every morning, move your body, take a walk, buy a Peloton. I don't care. Move your body a little bit. Show up in the office. How about 9:30 to 11:30? Give me 2 hours and we'll even debrief the day. You do those two things the rest of your day, you took
exactly.
care of what really mattered. You conquered your day. Just do
Yeah,
those two things. Move your
yeah.
body, get into the office, and let's reach out to our sphere or cold call or whatever that particular agent does.
And what you did, your last statement was a real key thing that I want the audience to understand. What Keith just did here is he went through a number of things that were deeper dives into this subject uh, uh, about keeping your mind focused, but you wouldn't know that the one thing, or you wouldn't know any of those other things that you just talked about unless you had read them before and studied them. And your mindset and setting priorities and keeping yourself focused is a lifelong thing, but it's a momentary thing too. I always get back to, because for me, uh, squirrel brain, um, I sit down and there's eight things I have to do, and all of them have value of some sort. And I just want to be a person of action. at the end of the day, I've been at it long enough. I want to be a man of good action, the right actions, the productive, the financially secure actions. Back to what's my one thing is at the end of the day, I want to have done the best I could do. And
Absolutely.
and all of those other things, all of those mantras that you work on, they're absolutely individual and important. But so is the study, so is the coaching. We have both been moved by the book Sun Tzu wrote, The Art of War. But you've gone a little bit further. Talk about your journey with this incredible book. First of all, describe what the book is and when
So
it
this
was
book,
written.
it was written 2,600 years ago by a Chinese general, and it's The Art of War. And it's about an hour read, right? I mean, hour start to finish. The basic principles are all battles are won before they're ever fought,
Yep.
and everything you've said so far, I clicked into my head. You're prepared, you're ready to go. You're not just practicing out in the world. You've done your research, you've read, you've taught yourself, you've learned from others, and you're prepared, right?
Yeah.
So I looked at it as every time I taught a class, every time I was coaching, those lessons kept sticking in my head a little bit, right? And I just started applying them to real estate and teaching that way. So I said, I have to write this down someday. So I'm writing it down, just about done. It'll be The Art of War for Real Estate Agents. Yep. And we're
I,
going to go
I, I
through
I
all
love
those.
I love the idea. When do you think it'll be ready?
I would say I'm just about done. I'm wrapping up a couple interviews. I'll be done those in probably 2 weeks, and then I'll put it in the hands of the editors and the people who
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
do all that fun stuff. But yeah.
Polish it. Yeah. Um, One of the things you talked about mindset was getting up and moving. Well, that comes from a Tony. First time I heard that was motion equals emotion. So,
Hmm.
or emotion. No, it's motion equals emotion. You get up and you start moving, and all of a sudden it's easier to move. One of the things that your um, mindset shows in your body. So when you're depressed, you kind of hunch over and you get slower and you get quieter. And, if you get up and actually breathe, breathing is another great thing. Uh, uh,
Yeah.
if you're breathing really shallow or you're heavy breathing, uh, maybe you're not doing real estate. I don't know what you're doing at that point, but slow and steady and focused makes a difference. What are some of your tricks as you're coaching?
When it comes to keeping them engaged, when it comes to just keeping myself going, I'm very passionate. I'm a very passionate person. I mean, right now, having a great conversation with you. If I was up on, you get me up on the stage, you get me in front of a class, I just go. And I'm
Yeah,
I love this.
yeah,
This is everything I do, whether it's coaching or teaching or anything, just helping out an agent through a
yeah.
transaction. I'm very passionate about it. And to me, it just flies by. I don't need that boost. I just feel it. You have to slow me down sometimes, right?
Well, that's my problem too, but um, it's not slowing you down. You really don't want. There's a lot of energy exerted in what we do. A lot of it is emotional energy. That's why
Yep.
people overeat or get involved in other kinds of addictions. Your addiction should be a desire to be good at your profession, and people who work at the highest level do focus on that. At the end of the day, they had some things that they wanted to accomplish. Not everybody does all the things, but you don't have to do all of them. You have to do some of them. You have to do
Mhm.
one of them. Start with one and then kind of build on it. That's that whole, I don't know where that comes from. Um, Constant and never ending improvement. I think that's a Japanese from the 70s or 80s. It was where you really kind of, every single day, you were a little bit better.
Mhm.
For instance, the calls that we have to make. You make 10 calls, so tomorrow you make, choose your number, 11 or 15. But make sure you do that and stick with it. And you're going to get better. And it doesn't matter if you're winning or losing. I had a coach one time tell me, and because I was frustrated, well, we both know Ashley Harwood. She's got a fantastic teacher. Introverts, Move Over Extroverts is the name of her site. If you should go to it, you should look at what she has to say. I don't seem like an introvert. I really am, unless I'm talking about something I know, and there's very few things I know. So I'm an introvert most of the time. Um, uh, but understanding that you don't have to be one kind of a person, but what you have to do is be consistently working at your craft. And if you're an introvert, there's probably introverts out there that really want to talk to you because they won't want to get together, and that's just fine for you. They just want somebody who does the job.
And I think at my last panel, actually, Ashley and I both co-moderated, and we had a bunch of introverts up there, a bunch of extroverts out there, and everything in the middle. And I think that's actually a big part of me writing The Art of War for real estate agents is knowing yourself. You know, what makes you tick?
Yeah.
Well, how are you receiving information? Do you know when you're going to get tired and run down? Then we don't have enemies, of course, in real estate, but who's on the other end of that table? Could be a cooperating broker, could be an attorney. How many people, how many stories have you heard as an agent about the awful home inspector or something like that? No, they're doing their job. Everybody is looking for an outcome. Understand them, understand you, and you'll be able to help your clients because that's what it's about, getting our clients to the finish line with the best possible service we can. And sometimes we let our egos, our emotions get in the way of that. So I think it's
Often.
very important. Oh
Yep.
yeah, we have to
Often.
figure out what makes us tick, what makes the person on the other side of the table tick, and how can we be the person to bring our clients to the finish line by understanding, look, they're trying to accomplish something, we're trying to accomplish
Right.
something.
Right.
Let's help. Let's be the help.
Yeah, exactly. I learned a long time ago when I had some complaint about something was going on. One of my coaches said to me, "Do you want to be right or do you want to close the deal?" And all of a sudden, I realized you've heard it too. I mean, so many of these things are just like when it hits you, it hits you. It said, "Well, I am right, so I don't have to be right." you know,
Mhm.
but
Yeah,
I want to close the deal. And that's an ego thing. Why didn't you do this or you should have done that? Stop pointing the finger and get it done. And
absolutely.
that's controlling your ego, and that's, I think, is part of the art of war. Is don't go anywhere, don't do anything till you're ready and know what your outcome's going to be, and do your fight the best way. Be smart, not fight. You're not really fighting. It's not. It isn't war. It's accomplishment. And that I love the title, but it isn't war. If you've come into it with the sense that I'm at war with something, that's harder than I'm accomplishing, I'm winning, I'm practicing. Uh, but that's me.
Exactly.
That's how I think, and everybody thinks different. And I'll bet there's a million ways to do something wrong, infinite ways to do something wrong. There's probably 1,000 ways to do it right. Find yours.
Absolutely.
Find
Absolutely.
find what works for you. Find your comfort level. Uh, Build your knowledge base. Um, I just had to renew my license every 2 years in Massachusetts. We're in Massachusetts here. Um, every 2 years we have to do that. Every 2 years we have to take 12 hours of study. Come on, people, 12 hours? That's all you need to do? That is such a low bar. And if you're anybody can get it, almost anybody can get a license to sell real estate. It's a complicated job in across a variety of different ways, and we don't have enough time to talk about that because we have you, Keith, and we want to get back to talking to you. But what you have to do is learn each and every day. Apply what you learn. That's that whole Kanai thing, constant and never ending. Uh, uh,
Improvement.
yeah, improvement. Yeah. Um, who have been your mentors? And who have you, I mean, aside from the art of war, there's other things that have motivated you. And
Absolutely, absolutely, and I mentioned a few of them in my book. There was somebody who served on my last panel. I'm going to say Jim Black. He runs the biggest team in Worcester County. A friend of mine. As quick as I can possibly tell a story. First day of full time real estate didn't go very well. But anyway, my first day of full day real estate. Jim looked at me and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm getting my desk and everything situated so I have a good place to work out of." And he said, "How long is that going to take?" And I said, "Well, if by the end of the day," he said, "How's this? You have 15 minutes." I didn't want to let him down. So I quickly got everything done. I said, "Okay, I'm done." He goes, "Good. Now you can make calls because that's what really matters." And I was like, Jim was a great mentor to me. Sophie Kozachka, she recently passed away about 2 months ago. Huge influence on me and my business, personally, professionally, just a wonderful all around stellar woman. We just lost her a couple months ago, but
That's a
I
shame.
would say the two of them, huge, just huge in my business coming up. I wouldn't be, I don't even know where I'd be without them.
You always, people will be glad to reach out and help you. Pick the right people, be around the right people. That's, we haven't talked about that yet, Keith, but who you allow around you is really important. Um, don't you think so? You know,
If you
who
don't
you,
believe Larry, look at the people around you, and more so, look at the people who you are acquaintances with
yeah,
and see their circles of people.
yeah,
And you'll notice that, I mean, it's a very famous saying, you are the average of the five people you hang around with. But when you really pay attention to that, eagles want to fly with eagles, right?
yeah,
And you'll see people with dreams and ambitions, and you look at the circle they're in, every now and then you really have to watch who you're rubbing elbows with. And, you want to go out and make blank amount of money or you want to close X amount of deals, you really want to be following in the footsteps of the people who have done it and made the mistakes already.
right, right. Yeah,
You mentioned getting back to basics, and I literally have a class back to basics, and I've made all the mistakes already. All the people that I rub elbows with, they do 10 times the business I could dream of. They've made the
yeah,
mistakes. We walk in those footsteps, and like you said at the very beginning, I really like that you said that. You're going to take a little bit from everything, and
yeah,
you're going to say, this mentor, this one, this
yeah,
one, this one, and you're going to make it you. People want to work with
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. They absolutely do. Uh, this is so exciting to have this kind of a conversation because if you're listening, you could take any part of this and you could drill down if it resonated with you, drill down. But let me say this: if you're at the office, like if you're still at the office and you're hanging out, and somebody's in the pool with you, and they're saying, "Oh, the market is horrible," and I just had this bad, and they start taking your time with negative chat, stand up and walk out. Best thing for you to do is get away from that. Don't be near that anyway, ever, because it doesn't make you feel better and it doesn't get either of you any further ahead. Because deals are getting done,
Yeah.
in good markets and bad markets. Why shouldn't it be you? Somebody sitting in their house right now saying, for instance, expired or canceled. If it's canceled, they were probably pissed. If it's expired, they did it and it didn't get accomplished. Those people are saying, what can I do? Who can I get? Who can I trust? Why not you? I mean, you've done this before. Why not you? Uh, and
Yeah.
that's a different mindset um, for it. The 12-week year. I love that concept. It's another business concept that you can apply to real estate. But here's the 12-week year in a nutshell. It comes the two guys who wrote it. I forget what their name is. It's right back there somewhere. Is The concept is, have you ever noticed, it's like a Seinfeld thing, have you ever noticed right before you go on vacation, you get a whole bunch of calls and have to do it, and you get all of it done, and then you go on your vacation? That's what the 12-week year is. Set yourself up to get a whole bunch done in a shorter period of time, exactly what your first mentor said. No, you don't have all day, you have 15 minutes, get it done. Shorten your thing. We're self-employed, and the only thing you're going to learn in the long term is your boss is a jerk. Get yourself to work, right? Get yourself to work. Get yourself, what do you want your employee, what do you want to get done today? And report back to yourself. That helps if you have multiple personalities. Um, so, but I think that's really important. I think that you have to, um, it's all these different things, and you learn it and you relearn it and you relearn it and you relearn it. because you start out and you get to the pinnacle of success and you have real success. You're not always there. It's like the market, it's always moving. So you have to always be moving.
Larry, I teach classes, or I have a lot of designations. I'm a CRS, I'm an SRES, SRS, all of this fun stuff, right? I didn't know what a lockbox was. You just mentioned schooling. You go, I didn't know what a lockbox was. How would you know if no one taught you, right? It was then I started learning and all of that. So what I did is I wrote a bunch of classes that kind of cover everything that is not covered in your
Okay.
traditional class, right? Back to
Right.
basics. I teach an offers class. I teach um, showing houses, all that fun stuff. And I feel like this year, I don't want anybody to get frustrated or nervous about it, but it's going to be an interesting year to make money this year.
It
It's going to be
is.
an interesting,
It
interesting
is.
year, right?
It
And I
is.
really feel like you hit it on the head at the beginning. Back to basics. We know
Yeah.
what works. The silver bullets out there,
Yeah.
don't chase them. Go after what we know
Yeah.
works. Double down on it. Yes, the world has changed and there are new things we can do.
Right.
Go back to basics. And I teach that back to basics class. I've had broker owners in that class taking notes
Yeah.
because they know they have to get back to their office
Yeah.
and say, everybody, look, here's something that I just stopped doing 20 years ago. We
Yeah.
need to start, blah, blah. And they know it all. But
Yeah.
again, hear it again, clicks.
Well, they learned it all. That doesn't mean they know it all deep down
Yeah.
inside.
Yep.
The whole idea of going to real estate conferences, whether it's Inman or your own agency or somebody else's, or to learn sales skills or communication skills or web skills or whatever you need to make your business. The more you do that, the better it is for you, because sitting in your own room, thinking your own thoughts, not interacting with other people, you don't have anybody bouncing off. You know, yeah, you don't
Yeah.
have anybody saying, "Jane, you ignorant slut." It doesn't work that way.
Right.
It's excuse the old expression. I am an old guy, so Saturday Night Live
Down
back.
and alive. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Jane Curtin, I remember.
back before most of you were born. It was funny then. I'm sorry if I offended you. All you Janes out there, at least I
Yeah.
didn't call you Karen. Uh, which anyway, I digress, right? Um, so it's been absolutely wonderful about you. What question haven't I asked you that's important? I mean, this a half hour goes by so quickly.
What haven't you asked me? I would say maybe where our market's heading and how to stay ahead of it. And to be honest, the way to answer it on June 6th, that's what I asked your help for. I was looking for some top agents who've been around. You, Larry, been around a long time. You've done it all. You've seen it. You've weathered a lot and kept coming out on top. So that's why I'm honored that you're going to come and sit on that panel along with some other top agents. But I think that is what some of the seasoned people are wondering. How are we going to get through this next shift? And the brand new ones, they don't know any better. So they need to get back to basics, which they haven't learned yet. It's been a different world the past 2-3 years. And I think that I could talk to you, Larry, for hours about it. So June 6th, I think we're going to open that conversation back up and we're going to talk about what happens in the future and how to get through all of that. And, there's still a lot of deals to be made.
Yeah, I'm honored that you asked me to do it. And when you said, "Are you around on June 6th?" I said what I usually think. Yes, I am round, and I'm getting rounder. But you know, the point about sharing what you know is not, "Hey, look at me, look at me." It's like, I've been here. I care about you. I care about this industry. Here's what I did, and it worked for me. So if there's anything you can take from that, take it. But be trying to get better every single day, you know? And one of the ways anybody listening to this would be to have a conversation with you, Keith. So, how can people get in touch with you?
Feel free to call me or text me anytime, and I do mean anytime. My cell phone number is 508-868-5336. Literally call or text me anytime. People find me on Facebook as well, and they shoot me Facebook messages. I'm totally okay with that too. I know who I am. just like the art of war. And I know that if you email me, I won't see it today. It won't be till tomorrow, maybe even the next day.
Let me talk about that for a moment, because
Go ahead.
anybody in this industry, we have email addresses that have to be public because we want people. Well, spammers love that. So I personally get more than 500. Much of it's crap, but I got to look at it to get rid of it. So don't send us emails. Call us or text us, because that's how you get all of us kind of right away.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Uh, it's been great to talk to you. Thank you so
Same.
much.
Yeah. I really appreciate this, Larry. This is great.
This has
Always,
been,
always great talking to you.
it's always great. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to June 6th. I'll get
Yep.
that right. 6 and 9, and thank you so much for listening. Tune in next week when we'll have another guest who might even rival how great Keith is, although it's hard to imagine. Thanks again.